All right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Hope you guys have had a wonderful week so far. Glad for you all to join this chat again. So we're gonna get started pretty soon. All right. So today we're gonna do something a little bit different. There was actually a suggestion by one of my viewers, Isaac the Monkey, and what I'm also gonna do is a caricature. And one of the guys I'm gonna do a character is not just gonna be a celebrity like in the past, but it's actually gonna be of a voice actor, one of my personal favorite voice actors. And so I am actually going to do one of my personal favorites, Michael Richardson. So one of the first things I will do in order to start off the streams, firstly I'll start off, with an oval shape for the head. Because one key thing whenever you're doing a caricature is that while you are kind of exaggerating to an extent, you're also kind of like simplifying things as well. And one thing also thing about Michael Richardson, he had a very roundish head. So I'm just gonna lightly make an ovalish shape for his head. And also, let's see, I'm gonna do this next. Also mark this area here where his eyes are gonna be. And I know with him, he's got fairly large eyes, but they're large, but they're fairly wide too. Got add a spot for his nose. His nose is fairly short. He's got very wide mouth for his mustache. Got very very pronounced chin. Bring that down. This actually where his ears are going to be. And also another thing I should mention before I go a little further. One thing you need to know about caricature is that when you're drawing these people, you're not just drawing them just to exaggerate them. Oh, hey man, I'm back. So maybe like last time about the popping and help a customer. Yeah, sure, yeah, sure, man. That's totally fine. I'm glad you could pop in anyway. I appreciate it. But what was I about to say? What was it? Oh yeah, but one thing when it comes with character drawings that when you're drawing character exaggerating features, you're not just exaggerating just to exaggerate it. At that point, you're just distorting them. One of the things about characters is that whenever you're drawing them, you're drawing what makes them unique and highlight what makes them unique. And in this case, with Michael Richardson, one of the things I think that makes him unique is like he has a very pronounced forehead, and he's also got a very pronounced jawline as well. So I'm actually gonna really kind of accentuate those features, as I kind of feel this guy out, making sure they're the most pronounced. And there's a lot more work that can go into what I'm doing on character than you probably think, because it's not like drawing a portrait where you have to kind of do everything exactly as is. You're basically drawing how that person how you really feel about that person. Let me bring out his ears a little bit more here. Bring his brows up here. And like before, like I'm still trying to do the same thing, just lightly going over with a very light sketch before I start going in and starting adding more detail and start refining these details. Bring at the top of his head a little bit more here. You bring in the nose a little bit more here. Bring it up a little more too. Push up a little bit further. He has a very friendly smile. And I want to make sure I bring that out. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let me bring that. I have to bring that eye up. See, here's another reason why I always start pretty light. Anytime I catch any mistakes, it's easy to try and fix them when they're not too permanent. There we go. All right, since now I got the main features in, at least now that I got that mapped out, let's start bringing them out a little more. So I think what I will do, I'll just start with the eyes. Because there's very long but expressive eyes. Do the same for over here as well. Yeah, and his little eye duct here kind of curls up. I'll make sure I get that. We get top of his little eyelashes, get the bags around his eyes. Let me get his eyebrows, because he does have very thick eyebrows. Let me bring out these bags a little bit more here at the bottom. All right, let's bring out his short nose. Yeah, and another thing when you're actually doing characters, while you're emphasizing one of their major characteristics, you also want to try to de-emphasize their lesser characteristics. So, while I know he's got the very pronounced forehead, he's got the very pronounced chin, I'm trying to make sure the nose and lips they're not as pronounced as exaggerated as the others. So that's why I'm making sure the nose here isn't too big. There we go. I got that. Looks pretty good. All right. So let me bring out his lower lip. I mean top lip. Let's bring out his lower lip. There we go. Let's bring out his mustache. Let me bring that up a little on the other end too. Bring the little soul patch here. And bring out his goatee down to the bottom. Bring that out some more here. I won't worry about this part. I'll color it in pretty soon. Here we go. Let me bring out his little cheeks on the side here. Let me bring out the top of his head up here. Let me bring out his little ears here. And you can see I've made the ears a little bit smaller. So like I said, I try to emphasize certain features, but also try to de-emphasize other features. There we go. All right. So I think now that we've done that, let's start refining our features, with a different pen. Since we've already used our red pen here, our trusty sketching red pen. Give me just one moment. I think I'll use a different pen for once. I'm going to use this pen right here. It's a little thick, but I think it'll be perfect for what I'm doing since these characters are usually fairly quick. All right, so what I will do with the eyes, so I'm basically going to go over the eyes, what I did. I'm going to do these nice, clean strokes. Make sure I get the little tear duct right here. Yeah, also I want to kind of bring it up a little bit more here at the bottom. Get the little tear duct here. Get the bottom of the eye. Give me the top of the fold of his eye. Let me get his nose. Oh, I forgot the bottom bags of his eyes. Make sure those are brought out. You get the other eyebrow here. There we go. Let me get the little section where his cheeks are going to be. And let me start kind of like bringing out, his mustache, his distinct mustache. And since his facial is very scruffy, I'm kind of going kind of a scruffy up, kind of a back and forth motions. I'm kind of going around his hair. Going at it from the side here. There we go. Let me bring out his other cheek here. Here we go. And you can see I'm really kind of bringing that chin, that jawline down, making it a lot more pronounced. Let me bring out his smile. Let's bring out his lips. Maybe a little patch of facial hair underneath his lips. Bring that out. Also, let me kind of color in his eyebrows while we're at it. There we go. Let me bring that a little bit more. Let me round that out. Let me bring out the top of his head up here. Make sure that's nice and round. Make sure I bring out his neck, because he has a very wide neck too. There we go. Let me bring out his little ears. Bring out the back of his neck here. Bring out part of his shirt collar here at the bottom. color in those irises. You know? Yeah, I think it's starting to come here. Let me go and start coloring in his facial hair. They'll probably really start coming together then. Yeah, characters can be a lot harder than you actually think. Because one thing about doing caricatures is that and it's very different from portraits because with portraits you're basically trying to draw the person exactly as they look. I'll probably get a little bit on that eye there. Can probably fix that later. But one of the difference with portraits, you have to really draw them exactly as they look, exactly as they appear. But with characters, it's a lot different because with caricatures, you're basically drawing, what makes that person unique. You're drawing what makes that person stand out, and and that comes a trait. With doing characters, you're basically finding out what makes that person unique. Do they have big eyes? Do they have a large forehead? Do they have a very pronounced jawline like Michael Richardson has here? And one thing I do recommend when you're doing caricatures is often kind of like do like little like pre-sketches beforehand and really just play with different features. And like you can decide when you draw a feature, decide which features you want to kind of play up. Do you want to make the head bigger? Do you want to make the eyes smaller? Do you want to make the nose bigger? Do you want to make the mouth wider? I know on one character drawing artist I used to always study when I was getting into learning how to do character drawing was Sebastian Kruger. Now with him, his characters were a lot more extreme, especially back in the 80s and 90s where he was really popular. He would do these really exaggerated, like characters, but even exaggerate they were, he still always captured what made that person, unique. And then there's other characters artists, like Al Hirschfield, where he went for a more minimalistic approach, with line and how he drew characters. But even then, you could still tell, like that was actually who the character he was actually drawing. If you're in the area for a chin at the bottom here. That's looking pretty good. Let's kind of bring out his ears a little bit more here. Okay, it's starting to look a little bit more like him now. And like I said, whenever you're kind of exaggerating characters, like emphasizing features, the main feature, you want to de-emphasize other features as well, because you really don't want all the features to be fighting against others for attention. One, for one feature to get the most attention, others have to have less attention. You have less features. Okay, so I think what I'll go ahead and do, because I kind of want to make some of these lines a little bit thicker. Yeah, let me make his little profile image a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna use this big pen here, kind of thicken up these outlines. That was running a low. Let me use a different one. I'll just use this brush pen right here. There we go. Let me excuse it for a moment. I gotta turn this around so I can get a good stroke going. Because that's the thing about these brush pens. You kind of have to kind of turn it so that certain kind of good stroke going because you have to angle your wrist just right with the paper in order to get those nice clean strokes that you want. And I'm just letting the brush pen glide across the paper. Yeah, because for here, I definitely want to get thick lines. I can probably fix that a little bit later. Hmm. There we go. There we go. Let me bring up this color here too. Actually, bring out these little eyelashes at the bottom here too. There we go. And at the bottom here, make sure this jawline's a lot more pronounced. There we go. There we go. Looking great so far. I've always had problem drawing and coloring beards. Yeah, can be very tricky kind of draw with. One thing I've always done with drawing beards, I tend to go around with scruffy, this back and forth like motion going up and down. Like, let me get another piece of paper so I can kind of show better what I'm talking about. Normally, what I do if I'm especially if I'm using ink or pencil, usually usually I like the angle where I'm kind of going up and down in the same motion, but rather than going in a zigzag motion where the zigzags are far apart, I like to bring a little bit closer together. And usually sometimes I get that extra texture. I'll tend to overlap and go across another. Because with beards, with hair, they tend to go in a kind of similar kind of like wave-like motion, and they all tend to overlap one another. But they're all going within the same motion when they're going around the figure of that person's head. But yeah, it can be pretty challenging to kind of learn how to do, like especially when you're first starting out. Let me see if I can bring it out on this side just a little bit more. Yeah, okay. I think it's really coming together now. Yeah, I'm probably at my most critical whenever I'm doing character drawings because portraits are already kind of challenging enough as is because you gotta keep everything exact. But with characters, you always want to figure out what makes that person unique. And you want to hope that you get that liking. For me, Kamo was almost everything I watched as a kid, animation wise. Lilo and Stitch. Yep. Honestly, Lilo was probably one of the very first things I think of with Michael Richardson because he played Gantu. Honestly, one of my favorite roles. Lilo Stitch, Ben 10, Cleveland Show, the Batman. Yeah, Batman. He actually does one of my favorite versions of Joker. Aside from Mark Hamill. And funny enough, like his version of Joker is one I don't hear people talk about as much, which is surprising because he does give a very different role different routes as character, which I don't think gets talked about as much. And with the Cleveland show, yeah, of course, he's done quite a bit of voice acting work there. He does with Cleveland Jr. I know he's done good work like for Family Guy, of course, American Dad. And I know there he does Principal Lewis. In fact, I honestly think that's probably one of my favorite characters he's done as far as the Seth MacFarlane shows go. Because normally I don't watch American Dad all that much, but every time I do, I usually watch it for him. And of course, with the Cleveland show, I do come in for Cleveland Jr. Yeah, to my knowledge, he has done live action roles, so I'm not sure which ones he's done. Because I do know he did start out in the beginning. Because funny enough, that's something a lot of like voice actors have done before getting the voice. They did start out doing live action. So let's go ahead and color this guy in. So I'm just gonna use this little burnt sienna. It's sienna brown. I'm gonna start lightly kind of coloring in his face. Hmm. You know what? Let me use a little orange underneath here before I start going in with this brown. Because I kind of want to warm it up just a little bit more. Because he's done that. Of course, it's to Cleveland Brown Jr., the Joker. I know in Gravity Falls, he does Officer Blubs, one of my favorite characters from that show as well. Yeah, the man is incredibly talented. Mark Hamill remind know if it was still voice acting, he's just not going to be playing Joker roles anymore. Huh, that's interesting. I didn't know he wasn't playing the Joker anymore. Especially considering that Joker is considered one of the most very iconic roles. But that's still he's still doing it. He's still doing it though, because as far as I know, Mark Hamill, I think he was voice acting long before he's actually started doing acting, doing live action like for Star Wars. I think some of the earliest roles that I know of in a Ralph Bakshi film from the '70s called The Wizard, a very small bit role, and that was before anybody really knew who he was. And of course, Star Wars ended up dropping like a year later, and that just brought him to stardom. But it is kind of an interesting thing though. Like certain voice actors, like they'll get started. Like some will start out solely in voice acting, and then they have a big feeling in live action. But for a lot of others, it's kind of the opposite. Where they'll start out in live action, and they find they really love, voice acting. And I remember first finding this out when listening on Rob Paulson's podcast, Talking Tunes. And a lot of these voice actors, when they talk, they always recount this similar type of sentiment because they love it because they always can be a lot more versatility because they can play all these type of characters, and they don't have to really worry about being worried about their appearance. They have to worry about to make people recognize who they are when they walk across the street, and they find it very liberating too. Yeah, I'm just going over everything with a nice, a nice shade of orange. Because I am gonna come back over with this brown in just a little bit. Oh wow. Okay. So I'm actually looking up Kevin Michael Richardson's IMDb, his filmography. So apparently he's been in quite a few films, live action. But as far as I know, I think it was mainly more of a character actor in there. Because I think where to see it? Because I see Fatal Instinct, Past Tense, Boy Called Hate, Stewart Saved His Family, Spy Hard, Bound, Basketball, Matrix Revolutions. I recognize that one. Comic book, Clerks 2. Huh, I didn't know he was in that one. The Mission, I Know That Voice. Now that one, that's a movie I definitely need to check out because I know that voice. That's a movie that's all about voice actors, and in that one, I think a ton of voice actors are star in that one. And it actually, the whole thing was actually narrated by John DiMaggio, was another actor came out that's collaborate with frequently. All right, there we go. So now let's go back over, this orange with this sienna brown. Yeah, I want to do it to kind of give it more of a warmer look to it. And also, part of this guy, one of my favorite voice actors, because just the fact that he can play so many different characters, but also play different types of character too. Because he can either do big, intimidating villains, but he could also do very comical characters too. Yeah, I'm just lightly going over my orange here. Yeah, anytime I'm working with colored pencils, I always try to start light, then I gradually build up layers as I'm going further in. Now for here, like I'm up here, I'm just worried about keeping everything even because I'm not really gonna be concerned about shading this time around. But even if I was more concerned about shading, like I actually would want to make sure, like I tend to map out my shadows early on. So once I've already made a decision, I know which ones I want to do. I can just start building up on and just making more confident strokes with them. Then could have top for his lip in here. There we go. 'Cause I think we'll be almost done with this guy pretty soon. Let me see something. I wonder what happens if I try to bring that out a little bit more here. Let me kind of bring his cheek out a little bit more here. Maybe that wasn't a good mark. Yeah, that's the one thing about drawing. It's always like this, lots of decision making that happens when you draw because you decide if you want to add a mark, if you don't want to add a mark. I think I will add maybe a little bit of shading here. I think I'll do at least on these. Like at least I'll do around his eyes. I'll do it on the eyes. I'll do it on the side of his cheek. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep these very simple. All right, that looks pretty good. You know what? I think what I'll go ahead and do now, I'm going to color in at least part of a shirt color here. I think I'll use blue. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Okay, I think we're done. We're almost done, with our character, Kevin Michael Richardson here. But one thing about it, I'm looking at this now. While I do like it, I feel like it's missing something. I feel like there is something else I could probably add to, make this guy pop just a little bit more. Give me just one moment. Actually, stand by. Give me just one moment. Oh no. Oh crap. Hi, can everyone hear me now? Hello? I'm sorry, I realized I was some mic trouble earlier. I didn't realize it wasn't working. All right, there we go. Yeah, I'm sorry, folks. I honestly didn't realize my microphone wasn't working, and of course, I realized this halfway through the stream. Okay, so clearly, since I realized nobody could really hear me earlier. Hang on for just one moment. So to really kind of want to accentuate, his pronounced bald forehead. I want to accentuate his large jawline as well, and I want to accentuate his large eyes. But also, what I also did is I decided to de-emphasize feature I didn't think were as important. So like his ears and his nose and his mouth, I made those a little bit smaller because I didn't want those to actually compete with the main features I wanted here. And that's the thing about with character drawings. You always want to highlight, what makes that person unique, what makes that person special, and how you really feel about that person too. So what I think I will do now is that I think I'll draw some of the other characters that he's actually done around him just to really make this image pop just a little bit more. Yes, I think I'll draw at least I think do at least four here. Trying to think which ones do I want to do. I think I'll do Gantu for this guy for this one right here. I'll draw his eyes. Make those side of his ears here as well. And whether I'm doing portraits, caricatures, or cartoons, I always like to start with light sketch before I start going in on them earlier. Yeah, Kid Designs is kind of an interesting design because even though he's an alien, he kind of has a very shark, almost dolphin-like face. In fact, that's an interesting thing about a lot of the alien creatures that a lot of their designs are heavily inspired by sea creatures, which kind of fits considering that seeing that the movie kind of takes place in Hawaii, which is surrounded by an ocean which is filled with tons of different sea creatures. So it's a very inspired bit of like design choices there. You know what? I think I'll use my regular. Let me go ahead and actually kind of refine his features. Let me just do his eyes. As long as it's my first time drawing this bigger character right here, so it's probably why it's not as refined as some of my other ones. The top of his head. Let me get his little fin at the top of his head. Because exactly he has very almost shark-like features. These little guess I could say little earlobes, and I bring those out. Let me get his mouth. You bring his other earlobe here as well. All right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let me kind of go over here with our pen I used earlier. Just gonna go over it with very thick lines. Yeah, but Isaac, I really do appreciate you joining the stream earlier. All right, so let's see. What's another character I can do aside from Gantu? I think I'll do Cleveland Brown Jr. here. Because since I've already drawn, a bad guy here, I figure, here I'll draw someone who's a lot more good-natured and sweet. That's what Cleveland Brown Jr. is. He's very wholesome, very good-natured. It's refreshing, especially considering how Cleveland show, even a lot of like Seth MacFarlane shows can become kind of mean-spirited at times. And you can see his design is a lot simpler compared to Gantu's. Very simple, little like circular shapes. Here we go. Let's go back over, with our other pen. We kind of thicken the outline around his glasses to kind of make them pop. It's not my first time drawing this guy too, so got a big kind of step out my comfort zone for a little bit. The top of his head. You start getting those outlines in. Well, let's go ahead and color that in, color in his hair. There we go. That looks pretty good. It's fine. Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. I had no idea. I didn't realize my mic wasn't working earlier. I guess since I didn't have a lot of stuff plugged on the side, maybe I just somehow missed it. But all right, no matter. Lesson learned. All right, so now that I got it, because don't worry, I think I will call these guys in earlier. Let me see, what's another character I want to add in? I think I'll do his version of Joker in here too. I think I'll do him at the top up here. And with him, his design is very angular. It's very angular. It's very sharp. In fact, even though the whole show has a very angular look to its characters, him is very striking because it's such a different look compared to the more streamlined project where we're used to with Mark Hamill's Joker. And while I love Mark Hamill's version, Joker, it's definitely iconic. I do really dig Michael Richardson's version too because he went and kind of did his own like special version of him. They bring out his sharp chin, his neck, bring out his little ears. But yeah, also I think as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if that probably couldn't hear me because I wasn't here because my mic wasn't working well. But yeah, like as far as I know, yeah, Kevin Michael, he was in quite a few like live action stuff, as either an extra or as a side character before he really got into voice acting. One thing I found out from from listening on Rob Paulson's Talking Tunes podcast, that tends to be a thing that happens with a lot of these voice actors. Like they'll start out getting into actual acting, either doing like side characters, extras, or just being character actors. But then they found it a lot more fun and liberating, to do voice acting because they can voice all types of characters. They don't have to be worried too much what they look like, but also they don't have to worry about actually, having the spotlight as much, as say like main celebrities. Color in these red eyes. Here we go. That looks good. Let me start going over his outlines a little bit here. Let me bring out his hook nose, his crooked hook nose. Big eyebrows.
Do more with the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra.
And I was like, I really do appreciate you suggesting this. It had been a while since I've done a real caricatures. Because I think I've done at least one in the past, I think with Brian Setzer. That one was a little bit different because I did that one more as a full body one. And with Brian Setzer, that was one I did when you were a musician, rather than a voice actor like I did here. Let's bring the side of his face here. Let's bring out his mouth. Yeah, because Moses' main feature on his eyes and his mouth, there's a nice like thick area of black kind of surrounding them. Really kind of gives almost like a gothic look to him. We do his teeth. His teeth are an interesting feature, at least in his version, because they're very jagged. Because they're almost like little blocks in a way too, where they can go up and down, especially like when they're closed, like I'm doing them here. All right, so let me make sure I get his ears on the side here. Let me get his hair. His parents' hair's kind of an interesting feature in this version too, because the parents going to create, they wanted it to look kind of like floppy bells that you see on a jester hat. And granted, you can kind of see, design, but it was funny. It almost kind of like he's got dreadlocks. All right, let me color these eyes in very bright red because that's a very striking thing about his blood red eyes. Here we go. Let's kind of go over, with these thick outlines, make that more pronounced, just to really kind of clean everything up. There we go. Now that we got three characters here. Let me see. I want to add at least one more. Let me see what I want to add. You know what? I'm trying to see. I was thinking about adding Principal Lewis since he's one of my favorite characters, at least from American Dad, but I wanted to add at least one more character from a different show. So I think I'll put in Blubs from Gravity Falls. Kind of like Cleveland Brown. Like his design is very simple too. So let me go to the light sketch. You're getting his sunglasses, his big like handlebar mustache. There we go. Bring out his lips. All right, let's bring out his hair. Of course, bring out his large ears. Here at the top of his, at the bottom of his hat here. The little wide brim of his hat, his sheriff hat. The top part of his hat here in the middle. With the little badge. We get his nose. And kind of see, it also kind of curl up in an interesting spot. It's a really interesting design choice, but I like it. Oh yeah, I know Joey Boy the Cop from Gravity Falls. Yeah, I was kind of surprised when I first heard about it, but I know but then when I started really watching the show, I was like, oh yeah, that's him. Because even though like Cameron has got those voices where as soon as you hear it, you recognize them, but every now and then, like there'll be some voice you're surprised to find you hear them because like it'll be a type of voice that you wouldn't think came out of them. Because I know for a long time I didn't know he did Cleveland Brown Jr. I didn't know he voiced him until very recently. But that just goes to show the versatility of him as a voice actor. They can do all these different characters, and they can all have these very distinct voices and personalities. And it's one guy that's doing them all. And it's just a different variety because, of course, you could do villainous characters, but villainous characters, whether it's good guys or it's side characters, they all have very distinct personalities. And part of what really gives that personality, is of course, good writing, of course, but also having a good voice actor like him to really bring that out. And it's part of the reason why I tend to be much a bigger fan of voice actors rather than say celebrity voice actors because voice acting is a very fine craft to it because you have to consider the fact that you're not on screen. Pretty much everything you have to give about the character is based through your dialogue, through your performance, your inflections. It's a really unique talent to really master. Of course, that's not to say that there aren't not to say that not to say there aren't any celebrities who aren't good voice actors because I know Samuel Jackson, who's a famous on-screen actor. He's that's a great voice actor. Same for guys like J.K. Simmons, Justin Timberlake. They are big celebrities, but they have to be great voice actors. He's one of the only traditional voice actors in Marvel aside from Charles Martinet. You know what? I almost that's another fun thing. I almost didn't recognize his voice at first in the movie because I did see the movies in theaters, but I wanted to I think actually like rewatch one of the scenes earlier. Like, oh yeah, he was in that movie, and that was a welcome surprise to hear him there. And Charles Martinet honestly had no idea Charles Martinet was actually in it until Well, actually, I kind of knew because I heard that voice. I thought to myself, he sounds a lot like Charles Martinet. Then when I heard him, it was like, I saw the credits, I was like, oh, wow, that's actually him. Because I honestly thought he retired from voice acting for a while. So to hear him was like, it was a really like welcome surprise. Yeah, but hearing them both, that was a really welcome surprise, like in that movie. Especially, since that movie was probably it's probably one of the first movies I got a chance to see, in theaters, post pan post pandemic. I think the other was probably the Bad Guys. And it was kind of a new experience because this was my first time, like seeing a film, also with other people. Because when I saw Bad Guys, I was probably the only person in the theater. Yeah, I found it pretty enjoyable. Let me color in his eyebrows. Let me kind of thicken up these outlines a little more here. Since I am kind of running out of time here, I may not have time to color all these guys in, so I'm just gonna focus on getting the line work for these guys looking pretty well, and making sure they're looking that's nice and good before I have to go. See, I'm kind of lightly kind of shading the bottom of his hat. I think I'll color his glasses in too, since they are sunglasses. And funny, I think of his glasses. I've only seen him take them off at least 3 times. I think in the entire show. Funny enough. All right, I think that'll be it for today. Yeah, I do have to take care of a couple of errands later on today. But hey, guys, I really hope you guys really enjoyed the stream. Yeah, I'm sorry the audio wasn't working for the first half of it, my mic trouble and all. Yeah, but I'll make sure that doesn't happen again next time we do the stream. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I hope to see you all again. If I'm not here tomorrow, I may not have time to stream tomorrow, but maybe. I'll definitely be back same time as always. This next Saturday around 10:30 to around 12. And also, just another quick reminder, I do post my artwork on other platforms aside from here. So I also put my artwork on DeviantArt. That's my main hub. I also post on Instagram. I also post it on Twitter and occasionally Instagram. And also, I think that's actually it. So, guys, hope you guys have a great weekend. Oh, also, you write down his name. That's another thing I forgot. Kevin Michael Richardson. All right, guys. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you. Goodbye.